The Lenca, or Jaguar people, are an indigenous people of Mesoamerica with pre-Columbian origins, primarily inhabiting western Honduras and eastern El Salvador. Archaeological evidence suggests their ancestors settled in the region around 1000 BCE, developing a distinct culture that flourished through the Classic period. There were an estimated 420,000 Lencas in 2013. The Lenca language is considered extinct, but the word is that there are pockets in the La Esperanza region that still speak Lenca. It was an isolate language with no confirmed relationship to other Mesoamerican language families, though some scholars have proposed connections to Chibchan languages. They are primarily concentrated in the departments of Intibucá, La Paz, and Lempira in Honduras, with smaller communities in eastern El Salvador. The Lenca are known for their agricultural practices, particularly milpa cultivation, corn, beans, and squash, and distinctive pottery traditions. Their spiritual beliefs blend indigenous cosmology with Catholic influences, including the veneration of natural features and spirits. Important cultural practices include the Guancasco ceremonial exchange between communities and the tradition of female pottery making. Though facing challenges from modernization and past conflicts, contemporary Lenca communities continue efforts to preserve their cultural identity and advocate for land rights.
The Maya are an indigenous people of Mesoamerica whose civilization flourished from approximately 2000 BCE to 1500 CE. Their homeland spans southern Mexico, particularly the Yucatan Peninsula, Guatemala, Belize, Honduras, and El Salvador. Originating from earlier Olmec influences, the Maya developed one of the most sophisticated pre-Columbian civilizations. Their language family, Mayan, consists of about 30 related languages still spoken today by approximately 6 million people, with K'iche, Yucatec, and Coxchical having the largest number of speakers. At their peak, the Maya population likely numbered 8 to 10 million. Today, an estimated 7 to 8 million people of Maya descent live throughout Central America and beyond. The Maya are renowned for their remarkable achievements in mathematics, astronomy, architecture, and writing. They developed a complex hieroglyphic script, the only fully developed writing system in pre-Columbian Americas, alongside sophisticated calendars that track celestial movements with astonishing precision. Their architectural legacy includes impressive stepped pyramids, palaces, and observatories. Maya society was hierarchical, led by hereditary rulers who combined political power with religious authority. Their religious worldview emphasized cyclical time, with rituals including bloodletting ceremonies performed by elites to communicate with deities and ancestors.
The Miskito, also spelled Miskito, are an indigenous people of Central America, primarily inhabiting the Caribbean coastal regions of Nicaragua and Honduras, known as the Miskito Coast. They emerged as a distinct cultural group in the 17th century through intermarriage between local indigenous populations and African slaves who escaped from shipwrecks or fled plantations. The Miskito language belongs to the Misimalpan language family and is related to Sumo and Matagalpan. Today, many Miskito are bilingual, speaking both their native language and Spanish or English. The Miskito have a rich spiritual tradition blending indigenous beliefs with Protestant Christianity introduced by Moravian missionaries in the 19th century. Despite political pressures and natural disasters, the Miskito have maintained their cultural identity and continue to advocate for indigenous rights and autonomy.
The term Mestizo refers to people of mixed indigenous and European ancestry, primarily emerging after Spanish colonization of the Americas in the 16th century. Initially describing the offspring of Spanish colonizers and indigenous women, the Mestizo identity developed into a distinct socio-cultural category throughout Latin America. Mestizos speak predominantly Spanish, with regional variations incorporating indigenous language elements. While concentrated in Mexico, Central America, and the Andean regions, significant Mestizo populations exist throughout Latin America. Mexico contains the largest Mestizo population, with an estimated 60 to 75% of its citizens, approximately 75 to 95 million people, identifying as Mestizo. About 90% of the Honduran population identifies as Mestiza. Culturally, Mestizo identity represents syncretic traditions blending European and indigenous elements. This fusion manifests in religious practices, Catholic traditions with indigenous spiritual elements, cuisine, corn-based dishes with European ingredients, music, instruments like the guitar alongside pre-Hispanic percussion, art, and folk traditions. The Mestizo concept varies regionally in its social significance. In countries like Mexico, mestizage, mixing, became central to national identity formation post-independence. However, the term's meaning fluctuates across Latin America, sometimes encompassing broader cultural mixing rather than strictly biological ancestry, and reflects complex historical relationships between colonization, identity formation, and nation building.
The Tolupan, also known as Tol or Tolupan, are an indigenous people native to central Honduras, primarily in the departments of Yoro and Francisco Morazan. Their origins date back to pre-Columbian times, with archaeological evidence suggesting their presence in the region for at least 3,000 years. As of 2013, the estimate was that there were about 19,000 Tolupan peoples in Honduras. Linguistically, the Tolupan speak Tol, Hikaka, an isolated language with no confirmed relationship to other language families, though some scholars have proposed tentative connections to the Hokan language family. The language exists in two primary dialectal variants, Tol of El Palmar and Tol of Montaña de la Flor. Today, the Tolupan population live in about 28 small communities or tribes. They have historically inhabited mountainous forest regions, maintaining a semi-nomadic lifestyle. Traditional Tolupan culture centers around sustainable forest management, hunting, fishing, and cultivation of maize, beans, and tubers. Their social organization is based on extended family units with recognized elders. Their spiritual beliefs blend indigenous animism with Catholic influences, featuring a rich tradition of oral history and reverence for natural elements, particularly mountains and rivers. Despite centuries of pressure, the Tolupan have maintained significant aspects of their traditional culture, though they face ongoing challenges from deforestation, land encroachment, and cultural assimilation.
The Chorti are an indigenous Maya people with ancestral roots in eastern Guatemala, western Honduras, and parts of El Salvador. They are direct descendants of the classic Maya civilization that flourished in the southeastern Maya region, particularly connected to the important ancient city of Copan in Honduras. There were an estimated 33,000 Chorti Maya in 2013. Linguistically, the Chort language belongs to the eastern branch of the Mayan language family. It is closely related to Kolan languages and preserves many features of the classic Maya language used in hieroglyphic inscriptions. Today, approximately 30,000 to 60,000 Chorti people remain, primarily concentrated in eastern Guatemala, Chiquimula Department, and western Honduras, Copan Department. Many communities are found in the mountainous borderlands between these countries. The Chorti maintain distinctive cultural practices, including traditional agriculture centered on maize cultivation using milpa farming systems. Their religious worldview blends pre-Columbian Maya cosmology with Catholic influences, featuring earth-centered rituals tied to agricultural cycles. Traditional Chorti communities preserve specialized knowledge of rainmaking ceremonies, healing practices, and astronomical observations. In recent decades, the Chorti have faced significant challenges including land disputes, economic marginalization, and cultural erosion, though revitalization efforts have strengthened their cultural identity and political organization.
The Garifuna people originated from the intermarriage of West African slaves and indigenous Carib and Arawak peoples on the Caribbean island of St. Vincent in the 17th century. After being exiled by British colonial powers in 1797, they migrated to the Atlantic coast of Central America, where they established communities in Belize, Guatemala, Honduras, and Nicaragua. Today, approximately 300,000 Garifuna people live across these countries, with the largest populations in Honduras, around 150,000, and Belize, about 20,000. The Garifuna language, classified as Arawakan, represents a unique linguistic blend incorporating Arawak, Carib, African, French, English, and Spanish influences. UNESCO declared Garifuna language, dance, and music as a masterpiece of the oral and intangible heritage of humanity in 2001. Culturally, the Garifuna maintain distinctive traditions, including the Dugu, ancestor veneration ceremony, Punta music and dance, and a rich culinary heritage featuring cassava-based dishes like iriba, cassava bread. Their society traditionally features matrilineal structures and a complex spiritual system blending African and indigenous beliefs. Despite modernization pressures, the Garifuna continue preserving their unique cultural identity through community organizations and cultural revival efforts.